Good morning, everybody. Morning, Nicola, Jill, Teresa, Janice, Rio, Chris, Sarah, Carol. Is Carol speaking to us from the real Adelaide, or is that not what I gather? I wasn't quite sure about that, but whatever. If you are, you're very welcome. I'm going to show you a fairly simple card today, a nice flat card for us. And we're going to do a bit of stenciling and a bit of stamping, a bit of colouring. So I'm going to be using some products that many of you already got. So that's nice that you can use that with your stash, but also a couple of stamps or a stamp that you won't have seen and some other things as well. So we're going to go with an A5 size card. So I've already got that ready and I've cut my piece of card out because I want to use as a whole flat piece there. And I'm going along with a new stamp from Woodware, which, hold on, let's take it off of the packet there so you'll be able to see. It's called Scented Blooms. So it's quite a large stamp and it's going to be the focal point for our piece of card there. So it's got 3 blooms on it. I'm not sure if there's a right and a wrong. But it's quite a pretty stamp, so that's what we're going to go for this time. If you happen to have a Kaleido on its way, I'm sure this will work really beautifully with it, but we're not going to do that today. So we are going to sort of centralize that, and I'm going to stamp that onto my let's hold that in place. I'm going to stamp that down and I'm going to ink that up with Memento because I want to put some colour on it. And so we're going to just ink that up. I'm using black because I want this to be a bit different this time, a bit sort of a stark difference. So that's what we're going for, a black thing. Usually we don't stamp in black, but in this case we do. So as I said, I've sort of centralised that. And I think that that's about right. It's a pretty design, isn't it? Yeah, really sharp and crisp. Do love Woodware stamps. So that, is our basic design. And first of all, before I do anything else, I'm going to put a bit of colour to it. And I'm going to colour in the flowers only. As I said, this is going to be a bit of a different thing. So I'm going to take an acrylic block just to put my ink colour down on. And that is the watercolour ink, the pearlescent one from Cosmic Shimmer. So as you can see, it's got a lot of a lot of mica. Can you see the difference in the colour from that colour to what's at the bottom? Yeah. So you really need to give that a good old shake to get all of that mica up to the top, because it'll give you that really nice shine. So let's just give that a good old shake. It's just about going through. Oh, shake, shake, shake. There's a lot of mica. Can you see? It's only just starting to move. Right, I think that will be okay. So I'm going to, these bottles are the same as all of the other ones in this range, that it's got like a stopper here. And so if you just pick up a bit of the ink and then drop that down onto my acrylic block so that I'm going to work from there. And I've got a aqua brush, but I'm not putting any ink into it, any water into it. So I'm just using it as a brush itself without any water. So I'm just going to pick that up. And all I want to do is just colour in my flowers. So I'm just going to use it in little strokes just to colour these in. The really vibrant colour next to my black. I'm just going to make this pop if I can. So with the Cosmic Shimmer watercolours, they come in 2 ranges. So you've either got the ordinary just watercolours, or you've got these, which are the pearlescent ones. So they've got this lovely shine to them, which is a really pretty finish when they dry. I'm just going to go in this same, I've gone absolutely the solid colour. I've not watered it down, but you can water these down. But these actually come all ready to go. So they're quite good like that. If you're not into colouring and knowing what mediums to use, you've got that strength from there straight away. I don't know if you can see, but already as it's drying, I'll show you to the camera in a second. Can you see that it's got that sheen to it already, which is really pretty? So I'm just going to keep colouring. I'm going in the direction of the actual petals themselves, so that hopefully it will look like the petals as well, if you see what I mean. So I'm just going in the same direction. It dries really quickly, so I'm working quite quickly with it. And then I'm going to do that bit in the middle, because I want that to be coloured, but I'm actually going to cover it with some glitter in a minute, so it's not going to be too drastic. And then these ones, I don't know why I didn't colour that all in one go, really. I could have done, couldn't I? So I'm just colouring these in. So I didn't look to see whether there was a weather report from everybody. Whoops. Usually we get the weather report, but I didn't look. So I didn't see, I'm afraid. And I hope all our ladies and gents that are joining us that haven't been well recently, I hope they're all feeling a bit better. I know I've had reports that one or two are feeling a lot better, so that's really good. But my thoughts are all with them, that they're all feeling good. And not talking about royal families, and I better not get you started off, had I? Eh? Or me started off, for that matter. All best left on the telly. Eh? So this is, the scented blooms are sort of, well, what should we say? I don't know what they're supposed to be, but they almost, you can almost smell them, can't you, as they're scented. But can you see the way that that's shining? Such a pretty sheen. And then just finally this big one here. Might have to give myself a little bit more of paint. I think we will. Just another drop of paint there. I mean, obviously you could put this on a palette, but it seems to be quite a good use for an acrylic block, not least for the fact that many of you don't use acrylic blocks at all anymore now, so somewhere to use your acrylic block, eh? So lots of colour. Now I can't talk when I'm colouring, can I? So I'm not going to colour the leaves, and you'll see why in a minute, because we're going, you could say, almost for the monochrome look, the look that we were achieving at the weekend with our cards, where we were going for just the one colour. So yes, I've actually gone for two colours here, sort of, but you'll see what I mean in a minute, as I'm going to be using something that we used, a stencil that we used on some workshops last Christmas-ish time, about November, I think. I can't remember exactly the date that we were using it. And it's such a popular and very versatile background one that I think it would look really good on here. So there we go. I need that to dry off a second. Put that to one side. So that's my flower done just like that. And all I've done is just coloured in the one colour. Now you can colour in any colour. You know, it could have been bright pink. I've gone for blue, but it could be any colour, but a nice vibrant colour, just one colour. Okay, so then I'm going to grab myself a stencil. So it's one of the Sweet Poppy stencils, and it's called Plaid or Plaid or whatever you call it. And it's a really pretty sort of a background one. We used it making some Christmas backgrounds and things. So you can see it's ideal for Christmas. But on this one, it's going to be ideal for this as well. So something completely different, all depending on what colour you use. So we're going to go with this one. And I'm going to pop it over. I'm going to turn my thing around, my wrap around there. So this is magnetic and this is metal. So these two are going to stick together. And I'm going to pop this over the top. Let's just see. Actually, I need to trim that down a little bit. I think that will be, hold on. Just trim that down just a little bit more because, whoops, it would be better if it was exactly the same size as this. So let's just go for this. That this is 14.5 by 19.5. So I'm just going to trim this down. I think this is not far off it. Okay, there. Just need to trim a little bit off of there. Just want it to be completely covered by my, yeah, that's better. So I'm going to pop that right over the top like that of my stamp. And then I'm going to bring in an ink that I don't use very much, but it's a distress ink and it's called Black Soot. I keep one of my brushes, one of my blending brushes, just for the black inks, because otherwise you're going to be in a bit of trouble when you come to then go and change over and think that you've got a very dark colour, because it will be a dark colour, it will keep it that colour. So I'm just going to take a bit of it and I'm going to do a partial stencil. I'm not going to do it so that it's all over. I don't want my flower covered all over, but I'm just going to come in from this side and I'm just going to work the ink in just a little bit. So I'm just going to go sometimes in a bit further because I want it to be a random sort of a look. And because it's a stencil that's got such a lot of detail, I'm just going to go back and forwards for it so that I can make sure that I am getting that detail in. So just working, because I'm not sure if you can see that. Oh, it's shining, isn't it? Sorry about that. But you hopefully can see that it's even got lots of little crosses and mix match there. Okay, so I'm coming up this way and I'm keeping an eye all the time of not getting too close to my image in the middle. I don't want to get anywhere near it, but I do want it to be a bit random with the turn this around, with the actual stencil. I don't want to just go sort of, let's say, 1 inch in all the way around or anything. So, and I want it to be slightly darker all around the very outside edge and sort of fading in. Okay, I'm turning my mat round. As we said, we've got here a magnetic sheet that I've actually stuck to an old self-healing mat. I don't use the self-healing mat. I very rarely use a craft knife. Just don't use it. And so I had a mat that I can still use because I've got it on the back. This is stuck on one side and I've still got it on the other side. So it's still absolutely fine to watch the other side, or use the other side, I should say. Okay, so, but it's nice to sort of make sure that this stays in place without having to put loads of tape around. I could have put tape around, but the magnetic sheet itself is very firm. That does keep that into position, and I prefer to work like that myself. So now I'm just going to take my stencil off. Must remember to wash that, otherwise I'll have black on it forever. But hopefully now you can see what a pretty outline shape that has given us. So by making sure that it was darker on the very outside and only doing it in the one colour, so that the pop bit is the colour of the stamps, it just works, I think, really, really well. So I'm going to just trim that now because you can see where the stencil was. So it's going to make a funny bit of a pattern, but we do need to trim that so that it's straight if we can get it. So let's just see. That's better. Just trim that along so that we've got a fairly even white piece all the way around, which we now have. Okay, so let's just pop that to one side as well. Actually, before I do, no, I haven't got my mats here, so I can't. I must remember to take that off because that's all got black on it as well. So bringing in my card then. So we're going to say that it's going to be a really simple card here. So we need a sentiment on it. And I'm going to take my the Knitwit Bloom with Grace. And I just want to pop that sentiment, decide which sentiment that we're going to have. I think we will say find beauty. What does it say? Find beauty in every day. That sounds about good to me. I'll take my stamping, bring my stamping platform back in again. Take this one out. Pop that back in. And I'm going to put my clear template on there just to cover it, just in case there's any bits and pieces on here, but I just want to see where I want it to go. So do we want it up there or do we want it down here? I think we'll have it up here. I'll have it up there. So I can use the clear template to try and get that as straight as possible, partly, but also to protect my work that I don't go and get any residue of any stamp that might be on there. I'm going to use my Memento again, just to ink my stamp up. Let's take that out of the way. It's quite a new stamp, so what I am going to do is just take a piece of just going to give it a trial run on here because that's better. See that it was really, I should have Claire on there, to be honest. There's a fine Claire I prefer, but no, that's nice. I like that. And then I should pop this back in over the top of that. Now, before I get some black and mat it onto black, I want to add a little bit of glitter. So I want to add some glitter into the center of my flower, and I'm actually going to put on a bit of glue glaze because I want it to be very quick drying. So I will get a piece of scrap paper and I'll do it over there so that we know that we can shoot that off onto there. So I'm just going to put some glue glaze down onto the center of my flowers. Whoops. That should be enough, I hope, to very quickly get myself a bit of Eyes Ink Superfine Glitter in the clear. Oh, if I can get it open. And then just pop a little bit into the centre there. So that we've got the glitter that's obviously in the actual ink itself, but now I've got a little bit of glitter more so in the centre, just to give it a little bit of an extra. It does need to dry off, so that's not completely dry yet. I'll just pour that back into my little bit there. So you could use any stamp on this, obviously. any big stamps, it's ideal for giving a background like this and just putting, you can use any different colour. Oh, looks very pretty. So then I'm going to make it pop even more by adding it to my black background. So that's going to pick out all of the black in there. So I'm going to stick that down first. I'm going to do it completely unconventionally this time. And whoops, put a little bit of glue all the way around the edge there. And then just pop that so that I've got an even space on all of this, or these two sides. And then I'm just going to use my trimmer. I can trim that down to fit that in. So that's like that. Bring my trimmer back into play. And I can just then trim this so that it is hopefully even all the way around. So I haven't done a measurement there, been naughty and not done a measurement. Oh, I didn't cut that properly, did I? Wait a minute, let's cut this properly. That's better. And so that even makes it pop. And then if we bring in our base card again, so a completely flat card again, perfect for sending away, then we can fit that in. Now, I think I could put that even, yeah, let's just do that. I could trim the card itself down, but I want to be able to fit into the base card, that the envelope and everything that comes with it. So a lot of people don't make their cards into cards these days. They just do like a card front. I don't think it's a card unless it's filled in. So I do try to keep my cards to a size that you might just be able to get, so an A5 or a 7x7 or something, because I just prefer it that way. So sometimes I trim the card, but otherwise, obviously, you could make your own envelopes and things. But so a completely flat card, but by giving the stencil to the side there, I think you've got a fair bit of definition as well. You've almost got a 3D effect. And obviously, if you wanted to really go to town, you could stamp this a second time and cut out one of the flowers and just place that as a 3D effect, which would look really pretty. But I think that looks very nice. I don't think, I mean, obviously this stamp does lend itself to being coloured really well. But I think the idea that I was trying to give over today is to go on from the monochrome theme that we did at the weekend, where we just used black and white, blue and white, pink and white, all sorts. This is the black and white, so this is the monochrome idea, but it's with the flash of colour. And again, you could use that in any way, shape or form. So you agree, Teresa? I'm glad you agree. It has to be a proper card. Yes, I think it has to be a proper card. I do like some of the card fronts, but I just find that I prefer like that. And it also then saves you the problem of having to go and then make an envelope, doesn't it? And as long as it's even, then it's not too bad. As you say, you could change it. But I love it. I think it gives it a really lovely effect. So if you have got at home this stencil or a similar background stencil, have a go at just using the black, just one colour, or a dark blue or whatever, but just one colour. Have a go at finding yourself a stamp like that so that you've got the centre, and any colouring. You could use your colouring mediums, your Copic markers, your brush markers, your watercolour paints, anything to colour them in, but just pick out the actual flower itself rather than colouring all the leaves and everything. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's little session, shall we say. I'll be back on Friday morning. I feel a fancy fold coming. I've got a few in mind. So I will hopefully be showing you a fancy fold, but if not, it's Fancy Friday, whatever I fancy. So there you go. It will be then. And I'll be also back on Sunday. If you can't make it on Friday, I'll be back on Sunday morning with the Sunday special. So if there's anything that you saw today that you like the look of, whether it be the plaid stencil, the stamp, or even indeed, if you didn't catch it on Sunday, the sentiment set, do pop over to the Facebook Live section on maximumcrafts.com just to have a look and see what you fancy, and it will be there ready and waiting for you. I'm afraid this stamp is on a little bit of a pre-order. It should have been in my order today, but unfortunately it wasn't. And so all good plans and all that sort of thing, but it will be in a few days' time. Okay, so thank you very much for joining me, everyone. Take care of yourself and look forward to seeing you again on Friday if you can. Okay, take care. Bye.